Performance mods on the Himalayan, for example, the free flow exhaust, the free flow air filter, FuelX Pro, or the Iridium spark plugs, do they offer any improvement in performance? And even if they offer any improvement in performance, are they worth spending another 25,000-30,000 rupees? Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So the RE Himalayan, as we all know it, is notorious for its lack in power, especially the BS6 variant. There have been a lot of attempts to bypass all these emission standards to squeeze out every bit of performance that the engine can offer. But is it worth spending an arm and a leg to install all these mods? I'll let you guys decide on that, but first let me share my honest opinion and thoughts on all these performance mods. So coming to the first question, what are all the performance mods that I installed on the Himalayan, and why did I install all the four together, and why am I giving you a review on all the four together? So the performance mods that I installed are one is a BMC free flow air filter, the FuelX Lite from Race Dynamics, NGK Iridium spark plugs, and the PowerRage performance exhaust. Now, why did I choose to install all these four together and not one by one? Well, I'm not an expert in this subject matter, but based on what I've read and heard from many people who have used these mods, basically you need all these four together to complete a whole circuit and to give a performance boost, if any. For instance, if you just install a free flow air filter, even though you have more air coming in, the amount of fuel that is being burned is same by the stock ECU setting, and the amount of air being let out through a restrictive exhaust will be the same. Same thing if you change to a free flow exhaust, the amount of air coming in through the stock air filter and the amount of fuel being burned by the stock setting of the ECU will again remain the same. Now, if you change the ECU parameters, like by installing a FuelX Pro or Lite, you'll again be letting in the same amount of air through a stock filter and letting out the same amount of air through a restrictive exhaust, even though the settings in the ECU and the parameters are changed. And if you don't change the ECU parameters, if you just install a free flow exhaust and a free flow air filter, even though you have more air coming in and more air going out, the amount of air fuel mixture being burnt by the ECU stock ECU setting will remain the same. So what I've heard is, in order to see a significant change in improvement or performance boost, you have to change all the 3 and 4 of them. So even though in paper this should give you a significant improvement in performance and all that, let me give you my feedback and my honest opinion, what I felt are the changes in my bike after I installed them. Coming to the positives or the pros of these performance mods on the Himalayan, there are 5 main advantages what I've noticed to installing these performance mods on the Himalayan. The first main advantage to the setup is a quicker throttle response. There used to be a second delay in the throttle response on the Himalayan, and you notice that especially when you're on the highway or when you want to overtake a vehicle. Once you give the throttle, once you open the gas, there used to be a second delay before the bike engaging, and now it has reduced like around 50-60% it has reduced. So if there was a second delay, now it's just a half a second delay, so the bike feels much more responsive and peppier, like it is on its feet. Whenever you give the throttle, it jumps and it is like on its feet, and it feels much peppier, and it's actually a lot of fun. The second major advantage that I've noticed to the setup is a significant reduction in the stalling or the knocking. The FuelX Lite, I think, does a great job in reducing knocking and the stalling. It makes the air fuel mixture a lot rich, so that the stalling and the knocking issue that you have on the low end is completely gone. So there's a significant reduction in wanting to downshift the gears, especially when you slow down to get over a bump or in the city traffic and all that. This is very helpful in when you're climbing mountain roads, especially in the twisties. You don't need to frequently downshift as you need on a stock bike. The bike climbs hairpin bends and all in second gear, even at very low speeds. So the whole experience, all the ride experience becomes so enjoyable. You don't need to downshift and then climb. Whatever gear you were in, you can just cruise along with a little bit of throttle. The third biggest advantage that I've noticed to the setup is that the engine feels a lot less stressed when it is revving closer to the higher RPMs. This is usual, especially on the highways, when I usually cruise at around 110-120 kilometer per hour. The engine revs very close to the 6000 RPM, which is the higher RPM limit on the Himalayan. The engine feels a lot less stressed. It is not as screaming as before. It is kind of uncomfortable to ride for a long time in that higher rev ranges. But with this setup, what I've noticed is It runs a little less stressed and a little calm on the higher RPM, so much so that you can cruise at 120 kilometers per hour or close to the 6000 RPM for much longer time. And in addition to this, what I've noticed is in the city commutes, I feel the engine runs a little cooler than before. It's not very significant, but it is definitely noticeable. I mean, like it takes a little more time for the engine to become so annoyingly hot like it normally does. The next main advantage to setup that I've noticed is there is no significant loss of power under load. I think with the improvement in the throttle response and reduction in the knocking or the stalling, the bike doesn't struggle much even with heavy luggage and a pillion on board. Coming to the last main advantage of the setup is the exhaust note. The PowerRage exhaust note is just brilliant. I'm not a fan of loud exhaust and I mean the attention grabbing noise of an aftermarket exhaust. So I always drive with the dB killer on. But the exhaust note of PowerRage exhaust is absolutely brilliant. It is almost identical to the stock sound, but it has more bass, a more low end and a more grunt to it. So when you ride normally, the sound is almost identical as to the stock and it's not very loud or anything. But in case you want to throttle up, if you want to fire up rev up the engine, and then the exhaust note opens up. It is throaty, it is bassy, it has like nice grunt to it. So why did I add exhaust note as an advantage to this list? It's not a performance increasing thing or anything like that. Now I believe that anything that improves the overall riding experience, overall fun of riding on the bike deserves to be added as an advantage or a positive point. Now coming to the disadvantages of this whole setup. Now, there are no major disadvantages or cons to the performance mods on the Himalayan, but I will mention three things that didn't meet my expectations. So, I'll include them as cons. All these parts are marketed as performance mods for the Himalayan. But in my opinion, in real world scenario, I didn't experience any improvement in performance in terms of the power or torque on the Himalayan. My Himalayan takes the same amount of time to reach 100 kmph, the same top speed of 120 kmph. It is not crossed beyond that. The only difference is that now it cruises better at 120 kmph. Overall, the engine feels a bit smoother and calmer, but the performance wise, it has remained the same. So don't expect any real world improvement in the performance when you install all these performance modes in the Himalayan. The second thing I want to talk about is the mileage. Many people have told me different views when it comes to mileage when you install all these performance modes in the Himalayan. Some have told me that the mileage will actually improve because of the better fueling and all that stuff. Some have told me because more fuel is being burned, it will reduce some mileage and all that. Now, I don't know the technical aspect of any of all these concepts. So, from my real world experience, what I felt is my mileage has remained the same. It has not gone up or not gone down. And I used to get around 29 km per liter in the cities and around 31 in the highways. That has remained the same even after installing all these performance mods. It does not decrease or it has not increased. I cruise at around 110, 120 on the highway, so I tend to get a little lower than the average population on the highways. Third disadvantage to setup that I would consider is the cost. All these mods cost me around 25,000 rupees. Now, is it worth getting all these mods? The FuelX Lite costs around 6,490 rupees. The BMC air filter costs around 5,499. PowerRage aftermarket exhaust costs around 7,990. And the NGK spark plug kit is around 3,000. And I spend I think around 1,000 to 1,500 rupees on getting all these installed. So a total of around 25,000 rupees. Now there are plenty of videos in YouTube telling you to go get these mods installed, and the real FOMO of high performing Himalayan is real out here. So even I fell for all this marketing and all this review videos and all that unboxing and all that stuff. So I also got all these performance mods installed basically out of the FOMO of a high performing Himalayan. So in my opinion, I think the return on investment or the amount of performance boost that you get when you spend 25,000 rupees on a Himalayan is not worth it. There is definitely an improvement in the overall smoothness and ride quality of the bike after you install all these performance mods, but it is not worth the price is what I would say. There are plenty of other things that you could do on your Himalayan that improves the overall ride quality at a much lesser price. For example, swapping your stock chain sprocket for the roll-on brass chain sprocket kit improves the ride quality significantly. Like it cuts down the chain noise, it smoothens out the ride, and you need to lubricate it less frequently, all for just like 3000 rupees. The same goes for motor engine oil. Like swapping your stock liquid gun engine oil for the motor engine oil reduces the engine temperature, running temperature a little bit. It is much more comfortable to ride in the cities with that oil. Engine feels a lot smoother also, and all this for just you're spending like 200 or 300 rupees extra when you compare price of motor engine oil to the liquid gun engine oil. The same goes for the Magnum Motorsport handlebar. Under 2000 rupees, there's a significant improvement in the ride posture, the saddling posture, and the ride comfort and the ergonomics with an aftermarket handlebar. And not to mention the importance of good tires like the Max Floor tires for better braking confidence, cornering, or even off-roading experience. So when you compare all these small things that make a significant improvement in overall riding experience on a Himalayan, getting all these performance mod for 30,000 rupees and getting a little bit improvement in the performance is not worth the money is what I would say. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't get these performance mods at all. That brings me to the next question. Who are these mods for? Now, if you are someone new to riding Himalayan, if you have clocked less than 20,000 kilometer on your odometer, if you have not done much of long distance highway touring or off-roading, then these aren't for you. You still have a lot to explore what the Himalayan has to offer. You need to go out more, you need to explore more, you need to experience different kinds of terrain and use the machine to its maximum potential, to the maximum what it has to offer in all kinds of terrains. And definitely upgrade to a better handlebar, a better engine oil, better tires, chain sprocket kit, and a whole lot of other small things before you even consider spending your hard-earned money on these performance board. If you want to know more about these accessories, I have made a separate video on them. You can go and check in the I button above. Now, if you're like me who has ridden the Himalayan for more than like 30 or 40,000 kilometers, you have experienced all kinds of terrain on the Himalayan, you have used the Himalayan to its maximum potential, you've had a lot of fun with it, and you're kind of getting bored of the bike, then instead of getting a new bike, get these performance mods so that you'll find you'll have a newfound love for the bike. Bike will feel much peppier, much quicker, much more engaging, and a lot of fun. And you should have a little bit of extra cash that you are willing to just burn it off without expecting any kind of huge return on your investment. So the whole point of this video is that don't feel pressurized or have a fear of missing out on a faster Himalayan by seeing all these review videos and all that stuff on YouTube and all the socials. And I don't recommend at all to new owners, beginners, or even owners who are low on budget. I wish someone had put up a review like this before so that I could have seen it and then thought twice about getting all this performance mods on the Himalayan. But luckily, I got it at a time where I had some extra cash to spend and I was kind of getting bored with the Himalayan. So I don't regret any of these purchases, but you shouldn't worry about missing out any fun on the Himalayan if these performance mods are not installed. These performance mods on the Himalayan may not be the best value for money products, but they do make a little difference altogether. Now coming to the last segment of the video, why did I choose these specific performance parts for the Himalayan? The simple answer to this is budget. For example, the FuelX has two versions, the Lite and the Pro. The Pro comes with a switch with which you can change 10 different maps, while the Lite has just one auto adjustable map. There's a price difference of around 3,500 rupees between the two versions. I'm not very technically sound as to decide which map I should choose for different conditions. I ride in the plain for 9% of the time, so I mostly need just one mapping, and I'll rather let the sensors do the best job for me than me switching the maps, which I don't know what is exact need for the bike at that moment. I chose the BMC air filter over the KNN and the Schroll because, again, for the price. It is the cheapest of the three out there. It is 5499. The KNN or the Schroll doesn't give a significant improvement over the BMC. The performance boost in all the three are almost comparable. The same goes with the PowerRage exhaust. It is almost as comparable to the Red Rooster and the Devil exhaust, but it is the cheapest of the lot. And the PowerRage exhaust closely resembles the stock exhaust in the form and the size and the shape. So that's why I went with the PowerRage exhaust over the Red Rooster or the Devil exhaust. Coming to the NGK Iridium spark plugs, I couldn't find an alternative to NGK, so I went with the NGK spark plug kit, and I think that's the best one available in the market. So that's it for today's video. I hope you guys found it useful. I hope you guys found it valuable. If I said something wrong about any of these performance parts, please do correct me in the comment section below. I look forward to reading all of your valuable comments. Thanks for watching, and if you want to check out this entire video in an article format, in a blog format, please do check out my blog. I'll leave the link in the description below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.